ESPN and the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour present the championship round finals of the $35,000 Garland Centennial Open. Now let's preview tonight's top 5 finalists. Former Penn State All-American Jackie Sellers will open up tonight's first match against left-hander Sue Niedig of Miami, Florida. The winner of that opening test will then take on last week's top seed, Dede Davidson of Wichita, Kansas. Qualifying in the runner-up position this week is two-time LPBT champion Kim Terrell of Daly City, California. And after averaging nearly 223 for 42 games this week, 14-time champion Nikki Gianulias of Vallejo, California will need to win just one game in order to become the first multiple champion this year. Welcome to palatial Showplace Lanes, located in Garland, Texas, for the championship round finals of the $35,000 Garland Centennial Open. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to the Lone Star State, where they've had some very high scores this week. And while we're on the subject of perfect games and high scores, my partner Leila Wagner fired the only 300 this week, and that had to be an exciting moment.
Oh, Denny, it was very special. Formerly from Dallas, Texas, I really had the crowd behind me. I threw the 12 strikes. The game prior to that, I threw 7 in a row, and you know, it was just extra special to do it here.
All right, and a fine week for you as you end up in the number 8 position. Let's talk about the top seed, Nikki Gianulias. A mercurial-type year for her. It's either been good or bad. This week it was good.
Very unusual type year for Nikki. She came out the first week, top seed. She won it. The next 2 weeks, we failed to see her in the top 24. Now right back on top again. If she bowls like she did in Okeechobee, she will be the winner.
Before long, Kim Terrell may just move here and bowl every week at Showplace Lanes. She was the top seed a year ago. She qualifies number 2 here this week.
Well, Kim has not been on top of her game. She came out very strong here this week. She says, I feel very confident in going into tonight's play.
And you have to be impressed with the play of Dede Davidson, who bounced back from adversity. Did not bowl well from the top seed position last week, but she qualifies 3rd here.
I have to give Dede a lot of credit, though. She came out and bowled a good game last week. However, Lita Sill kind of got in her way, so she's right back on top of it and in the finals this week.
And in match number 1, a pair of players who have yet to win a title, Sue Niedig and Jackie Sellers. Who do you like in game number 1?
I will not commit there. Both of these players are fine young players out here on the tour. They do have some television experience. One's a lefty and one's a righty, so we'll just have to wait and see. All
right, final stop on the LPBT Winter Tour. We'll come back with the start of match number 1 momentarily, featuring Jackie Sellers and Sue Niedig. The championship round finals of the $35,000 Garland Centennial Open are being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. And welcome back, everyone, to Showplace Lanes in Garland, Texas, for the Garland Centennial Open. Jackie Sellers, opening shot here, the championship round pair this week, 35 and 36.
A lady that's really coming into her own here. This is her 3rd television appearance. It's her 2nd year on tour. And I have to say, she just loves to play that track shot right between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Every time she's made a telecast, that's pretty much been where the shot has been.
And the majority of the time, when you talk to a player that's qualified for the championship round, you say, well, boy, what did you do well this week? And when I asked Jackie that, she said, I'm really not bowling particularly well. I missed 4 finals in a row. I made it this week, and I won more match games than anybody else. That's the only reason I'm on the telecast.
That's what it takes. She won 14 out of her first 16 matches, and remarkable as it is, that's what got her to the telecast, and that's what it's all about. You have to win those matches. The girls are given 30 pins, bonus pins, for each match that they win, and it adds up.
Sue Niedig of Miami, Florida. I might remind you that both of these players are looking for their first professional title.
The last time we saw Sue Niedig on the telecast was this past fall in Samstown.
A little high on the right-hand lane. Fortunate to kick out the 10-pin.
A part-time player out here on the tour. She's been out 11 years. She has a daughter, Terrell, at home that she'd like me to tell her hi for her.
Highest finish thus far on the Winter Tour, 25th in Winter Park. 2 lefties and 3 right-handers on the telecast, so a little balance this evening in Garland, Texas. And she nearly took the 4-pin off the 7.
Sue now starts with a very low push, actually drops the ball very quickly, then brings it up. stays very low. Now she's very, very thin, but really muscles through the ball. She throws a 15-pound ball and stays very low at the line. Now she just started doing that a little bit more. She's worked on trying to keep her feet slow, keep her timing slow, and she's able to stay down strong at the line, and that gives you better execution and better pin action.
Trying to get something started. A little better shot on the left-hand lane. So Sue Niedig strikes in the second. Let's see if Jackie Sellers can match that in the second.
Jackie just missing the television show in the Central Florida Classic in Winter Park. Missed it in the last game.
Told me that all she wants to do is get back home and work on her game, get her timing straightened out a little bit.
Well, she comes from a family that all bowls. Dad, Mom, and her sister and her grandparents. So I'm sure somebody back home can help her out a little bit. Her father's been her coach. And look at Jackie's game. Now she takes a 4-step approach, very basic, very large first step. Uses a lot of the approach, gets the line, and then really comes through the ball. Not a lot of knee bend, but stays down and stays solid.
And a player, by and large, that keeps the ball in play through most of the tournaments. Never really hurts herself. You won't see her shoot the super high scores, but when the scoring is in the medium range, you'll normally find her somewhere around the telecast. And a player, I think, when she does break through and wins, will win a number of titles.
Oh, I think so. She comes from a great collegiate bowling background. She was the 87-88 Collegiate Bowler of the Year. And then when she went on into the adult program, she became the 1988 WASA Bowler of the Year, a very good organization, very competitive organization on the East Coast.
From Du Bois, Pennsylvania, a city that she said is really not close to anything. So a spare up in the third, good match. Opening game, the winner of this one takes on Dede Davidson. Kim Terrell, number 2 seed. Nikki Gianulias is the front runner this week in Garland, Texas. Sue Niedig trying to double here in the third and take an early lead.
Sue Niedig really coming on strong yesterday. Started out in 14th yesterday morning. By last night, she had moved into 10th and then finished out in 4th. She said, I made a ball change and I got better carry, and that's all she felt was her problem earlier in the week was basically a ball reaction and not enough carry. As you can see here, she's playing right around the first arrow. Most of the left-handers were playing on the outside line. She said just a little bit towards the pocket.
This one really provides some impetus if you could strike here in the fourth. Put a lot of pressure on Jackie Sellers early on in this match. Very deliberate. Rolls up and a little bit too high. And I think for a moment she felt like she threw a pretty good shot there.
That ball basically just coming up high. She probably hit inside of her target, thought it was going to hold. However, it did not. I can really see the maturity in Sue Niedig for her television appearances. I remember her first telecast, she was extremely nervous. Her career television average is only 180. She looks a lot more confident here tonight.
And both players are 1 and 2 in championship round play. Both are trying to get back to 500. We'll have more of match number 1. Sue Niedig leads by 8 right after these messages.
Into action live on ESPN. All-time money leader Dick Weber tries to mark up another victory at the AMF HPL Senior Open live Thursday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
What pair of lanes did you shoot the 300 on?
25 and 26.
Okay. Were they good shots?
Yes, they were.
All 12?
All 12. The first one in the 10th was about a half 10.
All right.
But I did get the kick on it.
And, of course, you'll be getting that WIBC patch because it was a sanctioned 300 game.
That's right.
Fine. Okay.
I'm looking forward to my patch.
You'll be stitching that on your shirt, or maybe your mom will even do it. You never know. Soft 10 this time on the left-hand lane.
Not a lot of back ends here this week either, Denny. It seemed that the conditioner carried down pretty quick, and you needed some type of weights in the ball to help kick out the pins. Here you're going to see the 6 pin just sit in the channel.
Cross lane at the 10. And both players clean near the midway point, but Niedig leads by a dozen. "67 players started the week, and it took an average of a little better than 210 to qualify for the telecast. Our 5 finalists averaged about 217 composite on this pair of lanes.
The higher scores coming from the middle of the house, right around 17 and 18 through 36. Both ends were a little bit more difficult to score on.
Is it my imagination, or are both of these players fairly reserved?
No, that's not your imagination. Yes, they are fairly reserved. Neither of these players show much emotion anytime, not just here tonight, but in qualifying or the finals.
I was going to say, having Tish and Dede and some of the players that we've had on in recent weeks, I mean, they're jumping all over the place, high-fiving each other, and a lot of different ways to approach the game, the mental aspects of the game.
Well, for Jackie, she just tries to focus on what she wants to do prior to competing and prior to making a shot, and she sometimes listens to relaxation tapes, which a lot of players do, and a lot of times those type of tapes make you focus more and just stay within yourself, and you have a tendency to not let out that emotion.
One double, the difference thus far in this one, the strikes in the second and the third. And a little bit of an unfortunate break there as the 5-pin didn't quite get to the 10. What about you? Have you had an opportunity to try some of those relaxation tapes or anything along those lines?
Oh, yes. I did a lot of that back in the early 80s as well. Even visited a hypnotist and went through a little bit of relaxation. I believe in it. I think it helps you, just what Jackie says, it helps you to focus. And a lot of times with so many other things going on around you, you need to just focus on what you're doing.
Well, this one's just kind of methodically moving along. 10 pins separating Jackie Sellers and Sue Niedig in game number 1 here of the Garland Centennial Open. The winner from a year ago, Leanne Barrett, did not qualify for the top 24 this week.
Jackie Sellers, an economics major from Penn State University. Decided she wanted to give the tour a try before hitting the real world of working.
Well, nothing worked about that particular shot. After leaving the 2-4-5, it was time to give it the old chicken wing, and there was a bit of a pull and a tug in that shot. It was left to the head pin when it left her hand.
Well, that's exactly what happens, Denny, when you're trying to play real tight in the track area. You don't feel like you can go away with it, so you try to keep the ball on line, and a lot of times you're going to tug it a little bit, turn it a little early, and I think we'll see a lot more of that from the right-handed players. Now, they're playing deep inside. The left-handers had the opportunity of playing out by the first arrow.
Some oohs and ahs and a wry smile from Jackie Sellers, who barely nicked the 9-pin.
This is Jackie's first ball here. She knew she threw it bad, and she was just like, okay, let me get out of it. I know I tugged it.
Her only strike way back in the second frame, but she said, you know, all I did this week to get here was make a lot of spares. And that's what she's done here in the championship round. Excellent shot there, though, in the 7th. Maybe she'll put together a double. We'll be back with the conclusion of match number 1 as Sue Niedig of Miami, Florida leads by 11 here in Garland. The final stop of the LPBT Winter Tour, and won't be long before the spring tour rolls around. We'll be in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Just 4 weeks from now. The ladies have a nice break, and then we're on live for 8 weeks in a row.
Going to get a chance to practice between now and then? A little bit?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll try.
There you go. Another good shot, this time an excellent result. So Sue Niedig strikes on lane 35.
Now this one, as you can see there, right around that first arrow, but a little bit more revolutions on the ball as it hits the pocket, and she's able to get all the pins out.
Down by 10, strike here, ties up the match. And very fortunate to leave only the 2-pin without company from the 10, so it's been back and forth on the right-hand lane.
I feel for Jackie Sellers because this is exactly how I felt last night on the lanes. If I opened up, got a little bit quick, and I hit right around that second arrow, the ball did not make it back. And then as I tried to tighten it up, the ball hooked. And I definitely feel for Jackie because I went through 8 games of it last night.
Which is always a great deal of fun, right?
That's right.
Well, I'll pose a question for you here after Jackie takes the 2. And she does so in the 8th frame. When you have a lane that's that much tighter, perhaps the right-hand lane, mightn't you use a ball that hooks a little more on that lane and stay with the same one that you're using on the left lane?
Well, she could be using her softest equipment right now.
Yeah, you're right.
And a lot of the players were sanding their balls between squads and prior to the competition of every squad. So on one hand, she could be using the equipment that hooks the most for her. What I found on the lanes when this was happening is you really had to move a little bit deeper. And because what is happening right now is she's got the dry boards to her left and some wet boards to the right. And she needs to move a little bit deeper so she's able to swing into the dry area. Now that was a real nice shot here right around the 14th board, 13th board, made it back.
Tough break there because that was probably the best shot that she has thrown. Spare here in 3 strikes. We give her 204. Niedig leads by 11, and if she gets anything done in the 9th and the 10th, she will advance into game number 2.
Well, carry from this angle is also very difficult for the right-handers because you're coming in basically from left to right, and you're not coming straight up at them. And the carry is it's known to be much better from an outside line.
Strike right here would go a long way in advancing Sue Niedig on up the ladder here in Garland, Texas. Nicely done. That's what you want to do to an opponent when you get an opportunity. Put them away as soon as possible.
Sue's career TV match record is 1-2, so she does have 1 match to her credit and on her way to her 2nd match.
Doesn't waste a whole lot of movement. Very methodical player. Economizes most of the motion. Simple game. And another good shot. He seems to have a pretty good feel for this pair of lanes. Of course, if she wins and takes on Dede Davidson, she'll face another left-hander as opposed to a righty.
That's right. Now, her last 6 shots have been in the pocket, so she is lined up really on lanes 35 and 36. It'll be a matter of Dede comes in and starts playing on the lanes a little bit. Sue might see her shot change.
Spare here and just a pin will advance her into the next game. No problem with the spare. And let's hope that she didn't watch Del Ballard this past weekend.
And you're here in the hometown of Del Ballard, near Richardson, Texas, is where Del's from. And people here felt very, very bad for Del.
There isn't a player in the country, whether an AM or professional, that can't sympathize with what happened to him. And even though Petey Weber won the tournament, I'll guarantee you Petey probably feels just as bad. But those things happen, and as great a player as Del Ballard is, he'll bounce back. Solid game for Sue Niedig, who finishes at 214, and she will now advance and take on Dede Davidson. So for Jackie Sellers, it'll be off to Du Bois, Pennsylvania, go home and see Father Jack, and get busy on working on that timing.
By far Sue Neidig's best appearance here, best game that she has rolled on television so far.
Well, you can almost see her gradually learning the championship round experience, as every player has to. First time you're on, it's very difficult because of all the things that surround it. Goes by so quickly. Second time, you try and make some adjustments. Usually the third trip out there, you have a pretty good feel for what's really happening.
I think it's really fun to watch the ladies go through that stage, because I remember when I went through it.
So a missed baby split attempt, but it doesn't make any difference because it's 214 to 181. Sue Niedig now takes on Dede Davidson in match number 2. General manager here at Showplace Lanes with a trophy and a check. Big pro-am here this week, and the smiles around. Of course, anytime you win, you got to smile, right?
You bet.
Now, let's see how Dede Davidson accepts the challenge here in Garland, Texas, after a less than spectacular performance from the top seed a week ago.
Dede has the opportunity to pick and choose which lane she'd like to start on, or put the pressure on Sue and make her finish. Well, Dede has actually put the pressure on herself, so apparently she likes lane 36 better.
Interesting shot because she did not strike on any of her practice tries. It's amazing what happens when the lights go on.
Sue Niedig through the first game. Pretty even there, 35. She was able to carry one more strike. However, that's the lane she finished on in the 10th frame, so she actually got one extra frame there.
Consistent 214 game for Sue, and she opens up game number 2 with a strike and then shakes her head.
Well, that's what makes this game so exciting, Denny, is because you hit the pocket and you hit the pocket as we saw her do in the first game when she didn't carry, and that shot really was not one of the better shots she threw. She probably did not get as much lift on it. It really did not come in driving, yet she carried the wall shot.
Both players start with a strike. Light hit this time on lane 35 for Sue Niedig.
Now, two lefties pretty different in style, as Dede is very aggressive, a very emotional, very quick type of player, even though she has slowed down quite a bit. Sue Niedig very deliberate and, like you mentioned, methodical and very slow.
Nice spare conversion. So she continues to plod along. Well, let's see if Dede can double up and get the crowd revved up a little bit here.
If any player could do it, Dede likes to get that crowd behind her. It really does pump her up, makes her concentrate harder.
There you see, she's had the edge throughout the week over Sue Niedig, but all that goes out the window when you get to the championship round.
And I'll be honest with you, you don't even remember those scores.
Back-to-back strikes. And the effort is applauded here by the bowling fans in the greater Dallas area.
Dede's been trying to slow up. Now, she's made some great changes in her game. She's been working with Larry Matthews. Stayed down that time. Very solid. And Dede's going to run him out for you and get the crowd involved here.
Leading by 10, could make it 20 here with a strike on lane 35.
Really taking her time. She slowed up quite a bit, taking a lot of time on the approach.
Turned that one early in the backswing, but it's set up just beautifully, and Dede Davidson opens with the first 3 here in game number 2.
A big smile from Dede, so you can see she told me that she just wanted to come out and really just try to be loose and have some fun. She said, last week I really wanted to win, and she said that's probably why I didn't.
It's one of the major problems. When you try a little too hard, it just doesn't happen naturally. Sue Niedig with a strike of her own in the 3rd. With a double here, we'll cut the lead back to 10.
Well, that's where those relaxation tapes that we talked about in the first game, Denny, come in handy, because once you start listening to those, that really helps you stay calm.
So you're saying that I need to try those when we do the shows?
Well,
because I have a tendency once in a while to get a little bit excited.
Overexcited?
Sure.
Well, but we need that excitement. So I think you need to pass on those relaxation tips.
Okay. Just a thought. Maybe we'll try that for one of them. See what happens. Ooh, wall shot for Sue Niedig. So this one begins to perk up just a little bit in Garland, Texas. Dede eyes the scoreboard, realizes she leads by 10. We'll be back with more of match number.
I'm involved in aerobics and doing a lot of volunteer work at Terrell, her daughter's school.
Well, pins keep rolling around, but 9 count is the best that she can do.
She carried the light shot last time on lane 36, was unable to get the pin action here as the 3-pin remains standing.
The wood looks brand new, doesn't it?
It sure does, and that brand new wood enables the player to carry less. You actually do not carry as well with new pins as you do with old pins.
So you have to throw better shots in order to strike?
Well,
I would think so. They don't go down as easy.
No, they do not go down as easy, but sometimes your best shots don't strike either, so how can you say? But yes, you do have to throw better shots. You're really not going to get that light hit that carries so often in many bowling centers to carry on new wood.
Kim Terrell next in line. Nikki Gianulias, our top seed this week for the second time on the winter tour. Somebody said, come on, ball, get up, and it did in the 6th frame. Terrific crowds all week long. Very knowledgeable bowling fans in this part of the country.
Oh, yes. Dallas is definitely known for the great competition here among the amateur players. Some really good scratch leagues, good scratch tournaments, and a lot of great bowlers. I was fortunate I was able to spend 5 years down here and bowl with the best of them.
We've already mentioned Del Ballard Jr. Of course, a player that nearly was PBA Player of the Year last year. Chris Warren hails from Dallas, Texas.
Norm Duke, also out on the men's tour.
Big strike for Dede Davidson as she leads by 7. Another X here in the 7th frame will extend that lead to 17. Sue Niedig won the opening game over Jackie Sellers, 214 to 181. Excellent shot in the 7th frame, and that was all business for Dede Davidson, who now leads by 17.
That's 800-554-9000.
Dede Davidson now answers with 3 of her own. She leads by 7. Possible 266. Beautiful shot, wall shot. She waves at it with the left hand, and she's back to leading by 17.
And what every player wants to do is you get an advantage like carrying a Brooklyn shot. You want to come back and make a shot like this to just capitalize on it. Little body English never hurt anybody.
Got to have it to stay right there, and through the nose it goes. The 10-pin falls, so a break of sorts. That was the good news. The bad news is she doesn't continue to strike.
Coming up high on lane 36, you could almost see the pressure building. The players are getting a little tighter. That one smack dab on the head pin. Really did get the break by having that 10-pin fall.
And now, of course, instead of a game in the 250s, the best possible score that Sue Niedig could post now, if she spares and strikes out, would be a game in the 230s. To be more specific, 238.
Right now, Sue Niedig wants to throw all 3. You don't know what your opponent's going to do. She needs to just take one at a time.
If she would strike out, she would force Dede Davidson to spare in the 10th frame.
Lane 35 has been Sue's better of the two lanes as well.
Interesting that Dede would let her finish there.
Well, apparently Dede liked lane 36 better because she not only put the pressure on herself by ending the match.
Plenty of loft, late delay, and a quality shot in the 10th frame.
Whenever you see the 5-pin for left-hander head out to the right, you know there's a lot of lift, a lot of fingers in that ball.
Everybody in the building looks up at the automatic scores and realizes that one more here shines a different light on the 10th frame. Will it be? Not this evening. Spare would give her 228.
Dede Davidson is going to need a spare in the 10th frame. No, she only needs 8 pins.
Eight pins or more on the first ball will seal it. Have to be impressed, though, with the way Sue Niedig has performed this evening, Leila. She's thrown a couple of very solid games.
Very much so. She just happened to run into a player that had the experience of just being on last week, and I think that has really helped Dede.
And also a player who got away with one, a Brooklyn strike right in the middle of the string.
Well, Sue got away with one also in her string, so I guess what goes around comes around.
Mm-hmm. A re-rack for Dede Davidson, who didn't like the 10 that she surveyed in the 10th frame. Keep in mind, 8 pins or more on this first shot, and she will move on to the semifinal game. And a quality shot as she hit the pocket. Sue Niedig with a 4th place finish. A week ending, obviously a bit too soon for her. Nevertheless, a solid performance. Dede Davidson and Kim Terrell when we return to Garland, Texas.
The course is set. The American racers are ready. It's all downhill from here. The Subaru Women's Downhill and Giant Slalom, Saturday and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN.
And as you can see there, the head pin is off the spot.
Now, most people won't believe this. That thing might have been off spot by a 1/4 of an inch, but the professionals with those trained eyes look at so many racks throughout the week that they can see that the head pin might be to one side or another.
And if you hit the pocket and your pins aren't on spot, you don't want to know the consequences.
But sometimes they may be off spot. They may help you.
This is true, but you really, a lot of times, don't want to take that chance.
Okay.
Pocket splits are hard to pick up.
And leaving the dinner bucket on lane 35 is not the way you'd like to start the semifinal match.
A very difficult spare here. The ball is coming up a little bit light. The head pin really does not come back and mix up all the pins. So.
And then you're left with a fearsome foursome. Do not want to have to shoot the bucket.
It was really not an easy spare to shoot this week for the right-handers. The ball had a tendency to either slide in the conditioner if you wanted to play more direct around the second arrow, or if you tried to move in a little bit, it had a tendency to hook on you.
Ooh. A kiss goodbye from Dede Davidson, and she'll hope that she doesn't have to test her nerves like that anymore here this evening.
Well, Dede missed that spare in the 10th frame and actually thought she lost the match. She came back, pulled off her glove, and was ready to head out the door.
The spare she missed was the 7-pin when we went to commercial break. She didn't need to make it, but she wasn't even really sure what the score was. And I'm a little perplexed at that. It kind of surprises me that she wouldn't know. Not the kind of shot that you want to open the championship round with either for Kim Terrell, who obviously is not too confident in throwing the ball right on lane 35. She set that one down very early.
Kim moving in a little bit the last round last night as well. Now that ball freshly sanded is going to hook for her, hook early, and it appeared she turned that a little early. When you cannot go right with it and you're playing a little bit more direct, you're going to turn a few early.
A little better offering this trip, so she gets a little better feel for the right-hand lane on the Schreiner conversion.
Really pretty style. Kim Terrell, four-step approach, very basic. If any junior bowlers are out there, any bowlers would like to imitate a player, this is one to imitate. She has got great execution. Just everything about her game is 100%. She's worked a lot with Larry Matthews out in California, as has Dede Davidson, Jackie Sellers, and Kathy McNaughton, and he's done a lot for her game.
This ball sets up, hooks a little early in the middle of the lane as well. Crosses over for a Brooklyn strike, and Kim Terrell has some adjusting to do.
The right-handers really not having the type of shot that the left-handers have here tonight. And I'll look at Dede's overall.
Seven-pin stands. Pretty good pocket shot for Dede Davidson of Wichita, Kansas, who is apparently moving out to the West Coast within the next couple of weeks.
Well, Dede originally from the West Coast. Her mother and father live out there.
A lot of people don't realize she has a twin sister who doesn't really bowl at all.
No.
It's pretty interesting, huh? I think Dede said she was 8 minutes earlier, so she's the elder of the two. I said, well, that means that you must have been the A squad player.
Actually, no, she was the B squad player.
There you go.
That was this week.
Mm-hmm. B squad was 17 players out of 24 in the finals, so a touch of an advantage to be on the B squad this week.
The lanes seem to open up a little bit more, higher scoring conditions towards the latter part of the day.
Well, that one was long and straight, never did get into any kind of a roll, and when you miss the head pin in the championship round, that's a bit of an unsettling experience.
Well, a little bit ahead of herself here, getting to the line a little bit quick and really opening up, not staying square, sent that ball down the lane, like you said, too long, and you could hear the crowd go, ooh, they weren't sure it was even going to stay on the lane.
136 is not what you like to leave.
I think Dede might see a little bit of a change in her condition here. I think the conditioner is going to carry down, and it appears that the lanes on the left side are already tightening up.
But she has been equal to the challenge in terms of converting some very difficult spares in the championship round tonight. Kim Terrell leads by 4 with a Brooklyn strike in the second.
Kim going to move in a little bit deeper now. I'm sure she's going to be playing right around the third arrow at the...
Now that ball crossed about 15. Better speed, better action, and obviously a much better result.
Made the adjustment in a little bit.
I think she just flat tugged the first shot, and it was slow and much better acceleration here.
Here you can see, which talked about the third arrow, the 15th board right there at the arrows. Not much of a belly, right around out to about the 13th board. The ball setting up nicely into the pocket.
But the problem is, if you send it to maybe the 12 or the 11, it doesn't quite get back. And if you set it a little short, it hooks early. And this one's rolling nicely as well, only that's probably what we're going to see more of here in terms of the right-handers in the next couple of games, a half hit and a solid 10-pin.
A good shot there. It appeared the ball was coming back nicely, just finishing a little bit weak there as the 6-pin just sits in the channel. That ball probably went out a little bit farther than the previous shot on lane 36.
Television match play record overall in her career of 13 wins and 6 losses. Impressive. Cross lane at the 10. A spare up for Kim Terrell, who leads by 13. We'll be back with more right after this.
Once again this season, if it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
This young lady for a while was in the hunt for the LPBT Player of the Year. Won twice in 1990 and was top seed here. Could have easily won this one.
The 1989 Rookie of the Year. Kim Terrell started her career very nicely. This is her third year on tour, and Owens and Joyce Terrell, Kim's parents, were here all week.
Picked a good week to come out and watch.
I think Kim usually does very well when her parents are here. Very supportive, nice people.
Mm-hmm. Out of the Oakland area, Daly City. Some of her other relatives who live here in the Dallas area out to watch this evening as well, and they've been out supporting her all week long. Little tricky here, cross lane, and a beautiful conversion. Little noise in the background, but the ball had already left her hand. Nevertheless, a glare to the right by Kim Terrell, who was hoping that whoever made the noise on the previous shot has solved the problem.
When a bowling center gets that quiet, Denny, you can almost hear a pin drop. And so even the slightest cough or anything can really disturb a player's concentration.
Quickly up. Effective shot and a strike in the 6th frame for Kim Terrell. Now the plot thickens because Dede Davidson has a strike in the 5th. A strike here in the 6th cuts the lead to just 1. And we see another re-rack for Dede Davidson. That's 2 and out, as they say here on the LPBT Tour.
Now she's left 2 7-pins on lane 36. They were both weak hits, light hits, so we'll see what type of adjustments for that she'll make. Much stronger shot. You could just hear that ball hit the pins.
Little hooting and hollering going on in the background. Dede Davidson wants another re-rack on 35, so Cora Fiebig, our national tournament director, will have to march out, take a look, and decide whether or not she gets it.
Yeah, first time this swing. We've seen the tournament director, Cora Fiebig, who is new to our tour here this year.
Former member of Team USA, an outstanding player in her own right. Looked like they were pretty close to me, but apparently head pin once again may be off. There you see it.
A wide rack opening up the left side just a little bit too much. Dede would prefer to have them on spot, and there you go.
I should ask you this question, and I'll wait until after this shot. Trying to make it 3 in a row, and very nearly does. Crisp professional shot. Solid 6 pin is left. Well, why don't the pins come down on spot all the time?
Thanks, Denny. Well, I really can't
yes,
answer
the
that.
Mechanics Union of the United States. No,
there you go.
Actually, the spaces that the pins go into, obviously with the vibration and everything else, they have a tendency to move a little bit. That was a loaded question. I know,
that was very loaded.
But it was one that people would ask.
They used to go down on spot all the time when we had human pin setters.
That's right. So let's bring back the workforce. Forget about the automatic pin setters. You could go back and bowl at the Holler House in Wisconsin, where they still have pin boys or pin girls.
Yes, and it'll probably cost $100 a game to bowl.
Well, hey, if you want them on spot, you got to pay for them. We'll be back with more here from Garland, Texas, after these messages. Terrell working on a strike in the 6th, leading by 2. Trying to increase the lead, and carry has been the problem here in the championship round. Hitting the pocket is simply not enough.
Really a nice hit there again by Kim, but the ball's just not finishing hard enough to get that 6-pin to slap out the 10. And once again, I can't stress enough that coming in from that deep of an angle, it's very difficult to be able to do that. You know, she either needs to get a little bit more hit on the ball. I'd say possibly hit the dryer again a little sooner, but there's not that much dry out there for the right-handers to hit.
And so the former All-America from San Jose State makes the spares. We take a look at some of our top 24 finalists. Hey, there she is in the number 8 position. $1,200 week. Betty Morris with a solid performance. Leila Sill, who won last week, right up there again.
Elaine Blamenberg, Nikki Gianulias' roommate, travels in the motorhome.
Jan Schmidt working the numbers back in the truck once again in 14th position.
And Chris McCune, who is our foul line judge this evening, also cashed in 15th.
And we'll take a look at the rest of the top 24 in a moment or so. Breaking up the baby split does Kim Terrell. We're a little behind timing-wise here this evening because we haven't seen enough strikes.
Trying to get a little bit more hit on the ball, and a lot of times this is what happens. You just overturn it a little bit too much, hit inside your target, and she's trying to make the compensations for those 10.
1 pin separating Dede Davidson and Kim Terrell here in the semifinal for the rights to move on to take on our top seed, Nikki Gianulias. One of those matches where you get the feeling just one little lucky break at the right time is going to send one of these two ladies into the championship game.
Well, with a match this close, 1 pin separating them, they're looking for that lucky break.
Dede got it last time around with a Brooklyn strike late against Sue Niedig. Perfect strike on lane 36 for Dede Davidson.
Now it's going to probably come down to the 10th frame. Kim Terrell is having Dede finish the match, so the pressure is going to be on Dede to do so. Kim Terrell can walk up and set the pace.
If you want to take things right out to the 10th frame, 225 for Kim Terrell. Obviously, Dede Davidson, if she would continue to strike, would shoot a game in the 230s.
Very important strike right here in the 9th frame.
A tug and a 6-pin.
Pretty fortunate just to leave the 6-pin there on that shot. As you said, she tugged the ball inside her target and was a little off balance there at the line. And when you do that and only leave 1 pin, you're pretty fortunate.
Now the advantage is to Kim Terrell.
I feel like I'm in a tennis match.
It has gone back and forth. Both players with an opportunity to take a number of leads. Neither one able to wrestle away the momentum.
Well, Kim Terrell can get up and throw 4 strikes and close out Dede Davidson by 1 pin.
That's the scenario that's already going through Kim's head. .225 if she strikes in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Terrific shot in the 9th. Now let's see what happens in the 10th.
And you wonder how she left the flat 10s after that shot.
Well, I think one thing we're also seeing, Leila, is you have to make a very, very nice little shot on either one of these lanes in order to go flush and strike.
Much more aggressive shot, too. You could see the hit when the ball actually hit the pins. The lift and the rotation.
Skids through the heads, and Kim just kind of half smiles as she turns and walks away and thinks, boy, one time I could have used just one little half-10 hit. That'd be the difference.
Nice shot there, too. She's just not able to get out the half-10s, and right now she spares and strikes. She will force Dede to at least get 2 strikes.
Which might be enough, considering the fact that Dede has 1 double in this match, and so does Kim Terrell. Strikes have not come easy here this evening. Flirting with disaster momentarily, but Kim makes the 10 pin. All right, you make the call. Is it easier to throw the strikes or have to watch him? Oh, look at Owens tensing up there.
Owens was trying to help that 10 pin out there, that little slug at it, but apparently it didn't go.
He told me he almost kicked the television set in when she won the first one, but it's rough.
I think it's a lot harder watching, so I've been told.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. There's nothing you can do. Offer the best of hope.
Pretty shot there.
Yeah, both of them really were. She could have carried that first strike, but she didn't. So now we'll just have to wait and see. 205 for Kim Terrell. A couple of strikes and a couple of pins, and Dede heads off to the championship game.
Pin count very critical right there for Kim Terrell. She needed that strike to force Dede to get 2 strikes. Anything less, Dede would have only needed possibly a spare in the 10th to win. So a very big strike for Kim.
Break. Kim Terrell obviously realizes that she has just received good fortune. It has shined on her in this semifinal game. Back with a championship after this match. Kim Terrell winning 205 to 199 over Dede Davidson, and she opens up by tripping out the 4, but the 10 pin stands.
Finishing strong last game. Comes back here on lane 35 now. The ball coming up a little bit high. You've got to thread a needle out there.
It's an accurate description. Not a lot of room to play with, and just because you throw the ball in the 1-3 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to strike. And in this situation, you better not do one thing, and that's miss a spare.
No, it might just come down to whoever picks up their spares. It's hard to say.
The deliberate one, Nikki Gianulias. Never rushes into any shot.
52 career television appearances, career earnings $353,000. She's 31 years old and been on tour for 13 years.
And as we've seen already on a couple of occasions in the championship round, going just a touch right with it and leaving the bucket.
Now Nikki will go real direct, throw the ball very hard at this spare. She does, especially with all her left-handed spares.
Beautiful conversion.
And a little sigh of relief as she hit on the left side of the 2-pin, aiming more probably for the right side, but whatever gets the job done, she will take it.
The ladies have done remarkably well in shooting the spares in the championship round this evening.
Nikki, again, very basic. Actually starts the ball before her feet. She takes 4 steps. She's going to get to the line, comes through the ball. A very strong, very powerful player. A lot of ball speed. Had a lot of problems with her wrist lately. Tendonitis in the wrist has creeped up and bit into her elbow, but mostly in the wrist area.
A player that does a lot of practicing as well. Crossing over. We've seen a couple of Brooklyns. See another one in the championship game.
she tried to tighten up from leaving the bucket, and it's a natural instinct to do. You tighten up, and then all of a sudden the ball's going to hook early on you. So that was a perfect explanation of what the players are shooting on.
Kim Terrell with 2 strikes on the right-hand lane in the semifinal game finds herself a little light.
Well, both these players very similar in their styles, how they throw the ball, the way they like to go away with it. And I think they're going to get the same ball reaction on this pair, as we've already seen. Kim coming up high on 35, trying to make the adjustment and going light on 36.
Well, if you're a numbers fan, Kim had the lowest average on the championship round pair of 204 throughout the week. Nikki had the highest at 239.5. And the first missed spare of the championship game. Door swings wide open for Nikki Gianulias as Kim Terrell chops in the second. A recap of the Garland Centennial Open. Sue Niedig with a 214-181 victory over Jackie Sellers. Very good game. Game number 2, 233 to 228. And then Kim Terrell simply hung on as Dede Davidson threw a very good shot in the 10th frame, but left a 10-pin. High as well on the left-hand lane, and the 6-10 remains.
For Kim, it's going to be a matter of getting in a little bit deeper on 35. That ball, she appeared to have the ball speed. The execution was good, and to overcome this over-under reaction that both of these players are getting, you've got to move a little bit left, and they did that last night, and I just think that they're reluctant to do it a little bit here tonight.
And now the 6 off the 10. So disaster strikes in the second and the third. And Nikki Gianulias maybe just handed her second win of the season on a silver platter.
I think you jinxed the players here, Denny, prior to us talking about it.
The odds are against him. You keep leaving multiple pin spares on difficult conditions, and sooner or later you're going to start to miss them. Might not have seen the last one at this point.
Deeper inside there, around 17, and then the ball only making it out to about 15, 14. So Nikki was playing deeper than most of the players all week.
Not necessarily because that's where you wanted to play, but also she has the ability physically to keep moving left and striking.
Well, she gets a lot more rotation than other players do, and she's able to get the ball back and hold on line. Other players get in that deep. They're going to be leaving a lot of pocket splits and not able to kick out the 10. Nikki, with that real strong release, is able to get the revolutions on the bowling ball that causes all the pin carry.
Elsewhere down the top 24 list, Carol Giannotti, the lady from down under, in 16th place. Stacy Ryder, number 17. Anne-Marie in the 19 slot. And our statistician, Linda Thomas, in the top 24 this week. Former Player of the Year, Robin Romeo, 23rd. Cheryl Daniels, 22nd. And Kathy Suzanne, number 24. And Tish Johnson in the unenviable position of being the alternate this week. No fun to be the alternate.
Not unless somebody goes out and you get to play, but that's not always nice to go in for an injured player.
No, not only because the player's been injured, but obviously you start at the bottom of the stack as well. So Nikki Gianulias through the nose. All right, a question for you now. Leila, you're mentioning the fact that you're maybe a little surprised that players don't go in a little bit deeper. When you practice on the championship round pair, do you try and throw from 3 or 4 different angles just to see what kind of reaction you get? Or if you get a decent reaction from where you've been playing all week long, do you stay right there?
Well, if you're getting a decent reaction, I assume that you're going to stay right there, or I have. That's probably one of my downfalls. It appears right now that these players may have needed to try something. Nikki in one round did play the channel. She's not getting a good reaction out or inside at all.
All right, so another spare for Nikki G. She leads by 23, but this one's far from over in Garland, Texas. We'll be back with more of the championship. And while we were away, we have some time constraints, some problems presented because of lack of strikes. Kim Terrell came up and threw a double for us. Nikki G with a couple of spares in the 5th and the 6th, and we have a 9-pin match here at the midway point.
Right now, Kim wanting to make up for those 2 open frames. Comes up a little high.
We might add that she threw a Brooklyn on lane 36 when we were in commercial. Testy pair of lanes. These 2 ladies are utilizing all of their abilities and experiences and knowledge, but sometimes that's not enough.
That's right. You feel like you need to go into a hat and draw something else out. You get very locked up in what you're doing, and a lot of things are going through your mind, and a lot of times that's the worst. But you're almost like a computer brain, and you're running it, all the memory through right now.
Well, she's already missed a couple of spares, nearly missed a 3rd. She trails by 11.
When you're concentrating so hard on trying to find a strike line, a lot of times you let the spares get away from you, and you take it for granted, and you just kind of get up there and really not think about the spare shot.
Yeah, but see, these are the matches I love, because then the most resourceful player, the player that's able to figure them out and do what you have to do, make the pressure shots, those are the ones that win. At this level, that's what it's all about.
Well, that's what Nikki likes best about being a professional bowler, the challenge to be the best each week. And I think that's a great goal to set for yourself.
Looked like Kim went with a little less revolution hook that time, maybe tightened up the line just a touch. So these players are making the fine adjustments. Now it's a question of who makes them the quickest.
Well, maybe trying to stay behind the ball a little bit rather than coming around the side of it to keep the ball straighter on line through the front part of the lane. Possibly spotting a little bit farther down the lane would get the ball going a little bit longer.
Or maybe you flatten the wrist up a little bit, you take something off. There's a lot of different ways that you can attack a pair of lanes like this. Kim Terrell with a bit of an advantage because she's had a whole game on this pair.
Well, when she's left the flat 10 pins, a lot of times you don't want to take anything off of a ball because you know you need it all.
Nikki very fortunate indeed to leave just the 6-pin on a shot that was on the schnoz from the time it left her hand. And you can see after leaving the bucket in the very first frame, she's had just tremendous difficulty in getting the ball and starting it right of her target. She just doesn't believe it's going to come back.
She's been very fortunate in breaking up the splits that she has had standing. She's only been shooting 9-pin spares, other than the 3, 6, 10 in the 5th frame.
And she stands up a little bit on the spare. Both players just trying to gut it out right now and capture the Garland Centennial Open, the final stop on the 1991 LPBT Winter Tour. We've already discussed the fact that the ladies will have a little time off and come back live on ESPN coming up at Alexandria, Louisiana. Mention the ladies, obviously the seniors. PBA Senior Tour will be on. Coming your way live on Thursday, March 14th, the AMF HPL Senior Open from Escondido, California. Better shot there. And that's the problem that's presented. You make what you feel is your best shot, and then you leave that doggone 10-pin.
Well, the lanes were stripped every night, Denny, and we have not been able to figure out really how they were able to get tighter and tighter each day. If they were stripped, the whole lane was stripped from the foul line to the pin deck, and apparently they're even tighter tonight than they were in the final rounds of match play yesterday. And yesterday they were very tight.
There you could see by the facial expressions and the verbalization, she knew she threw a good shot, and she had to have a strike to get something started. Kim Terrell is on a strike in the 7th. Nikki G leads by 9, but that could change momentarily with a strike here on lane 36.
Really a must strike to get back in the match here for Kim Terrell to set it up in the 8th frame. She could take the lead by 1 pin.
Left all the way.
Looking for that break. Maybe the 6-pin hit the 10. Could have gone. I've seen a few of those go throughout the week, but like you said, left all the way. She really wanted, came around the ball pretty early.
Good news is she left just the 10-pin. Bad news is she's got to step up on that lane in the 10th frame. And she hasn't exactly struck at will on lane 36.
Well, Nikki gets to get up and finish the match on lane 35. Not only does Kim have to finish on 36, but if there's any amount of pressure on her, she finishes the match.
204 for Kim Terrell. 213, a possibility for Nikki Gianulias. A little right of the mark, and the 2-4-5 left standing. So there you see it. We've talked about it all night long. You get it going just a touch right, it will not come back.
And Kim says, hey, you know, I let it out, and that's why I kind of keep pulling it on those other shots, because this is what happens when I think I throw a pretty good shot, get out of it pretty clean, good ball speed, and it just doesn't make it back.
Courageous effort that time. She was going right with it no matter what happened.
We have to trust it. But unfortunately, on this condition, it's not exactly working, right?
A spare up for Kim Terrell, so if she would strike out 191, Nikki Gianulias can finish things up here in the 9th and the 10th, asks for a re-rack, and gets one on the right-hand lane.
Kim Terrell losing to Leila Barrett last year, 227 to 182. Just may end up finishing twice 2 years in a row.
Pretty good order there. Soldiers all in a row. She'd like to watch him disappear.
Well, she hasn't seen that since the 2nd frame, but she's definitely been on for her spares.
Threw it right through the nose the last time on 36. Well, that one's right. And a wonderful shot. 7-pin remains. You don't know how good that shot was.
The Wallies really carried pretty good the rest of the week. I'm surprised that they're not carrying here tonight with the averages as high as they were, and what it took to make the top 24 here this week. You had to be able to carry these wall shots, and they're just not carrying here tonight. So obviously the lane's a lot tighter, not the back end reaction that we saw.
First order of business now, make the spare, and if she throws a strike on the first shot in the 10th frame and then counts 20, she will close Kim Terrell out 192 to 191. Spare is done, but there's still some work left in the 10th frame.
You can see the power and the speed that Nikki puts on it to shoot her spare. She comes flat behind the ball. Shot that 7-pin from about the middle of the lane to the left-hand side of it even.
A little extra work. Get that conditioner off the track. Ball is not exactly gripping and hooking, is it? When you send it to the right. Clean release. And a very bad break indeed. Back-to-back 10-pins on the left-hand lane. And there you see the slumped shoulders. Nikki G really threw a very fine shot there.
Pretty shot. She really ripped through it, too. It almost appears this is the first game that these pins may have had bowled on them, other than we know a little bit better. But great shot. That, you know, they're just playing in such a deep angle, and they're just not getting that back end reaction.
Still the key ingredient. Get into the clubhouse with the highest possible score, which would be 191 if she strikes. It doesn't take a mathematician to realize that Kim would have to strike out to tie her then.
Almost missing the spare. A big sigh of relief and a big smile for Nikki as she says, "Oh, thank you."
That'll get your attention. Meanwhile, Kim's going, hook, 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 hook. No. Just kidding. These two players have just absolutely refused to wilt. Haven't exactly struck, but they have hung tough.
Well, Kim Terrell can go back to the second and third frame and see that she's chopped the 2-5 and the 6-10.
And as always in the sport of bowling, you always carry when it doesn't make that much difference. But in this case, it did. That was a key strike because she cannot lose.
That's right. That was a big strike right there. But what's going through Kim Terrell's mind right now? I haven't hit lane 36. I just really want to make some good shots. Maybe it'll be my turn.
It's going to have to be a Brooklyn. That's one. Owens and Joyce are going, Kim, excuse us, but we can't take this much longer.
Really turning that ball very early. I'm surprised it actually caught the head pin on the left. I think Kim is too. You know, that might just be what she needs to loosen up as well. This ball going away, Brooklyn. The 5-pin says, okay, I'll knock that 9 out.
2 more to tie. Brooklyn again. Not to be. And so for the second year in a row, Kim Terrell finishes just a little short. Apologizes, I'm sure, to Nikki G for throwing the Brooklyn, but there's your first multiple winner of 1991.
ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
The championship round finals of the $35,000 Garland Centennial Open have been brought to you by Co-Advil Advanced Formula for cold and sinus relief. And our newest champion, Nikki Gianulias, winner of the Garland Centennial Open. 2-time winner here in 1991 with a 191-181 victory over Kim Terrell. And she is presented the trophy by the mayor of Garland, the Honorable Bill Tomlinson. So long, everyone, from the Lone Star State. Our next telecast on ESPN features the best of the PBA Senior Tour, the AMF HPL Senior Open, live Thursday, March 14th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour Spring Tour returns to ESPN on Thursday, April 11th, beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on ESPN, with the championship round finals of the $40,000 Robbie's Open from Four Seasons Bowl in Alexandria, Louisiana.